I can't wait to see how many people are going to join us now. I can't wait to see how many people are going to take this moment and this sort of encouragement from someone that they really highly regard and admire, and let that motivate them to take action. And then how can we be there when they say, okay, well, I want to take action. Like, where do I go? How can we be like, you're a Swiftie. We're here. We're Swifties. We're here for Kamala.
In partnership with ActBlue, this is Build the Change. I'm Alok Vadmenon, an author, poet, actor, and advocate, and your host from season 1. In this mini-series, we're bringing you stories of the incredible work people are doing on the ground right now in anticipation of this historic election. In these next few episodes, you'll hear from our lead producer, Edie Allard, who will bring you fascinating conversations with folks making change in their communities. Whether it's getting Democrats on the ballot in red counties or organizing fundraisers for their favorite candidates. In discovering these stories, we found that every path to action is unique, but maybe you'll see yourself in some of these people who decided to take action, and maybe you'll want to build some change of your own. Welcome back.
In 2022, Taylor Swift fans anxiously waited for their chance to buy tickets for her latest tour. When the opportunity came for the special group of fans who had pre-sale ticket access, the wait was hours long, and the website kept crashing. Many walked away without tickets that had seemed all but guaranteed. Taylor Swift fans, or Swifties as they're often called, didn't just sit and mope. They took to social media, and the outcry led to an antitrust investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice into Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation Entertainment. Taylor Swift fans used their collective power to make political change. Now, their sights are set on the 2024 presidential election.
Swifties for Kamala started the night that President Biden stepped aside and announced that he was not going to be running for re-election.
April Glick-Polito is the political director at Swifties for Kamala.
Emerald is our co-founder, huge, I don't want to say celebrity, but Emerald has a very large presence and adoring friend base in the Swiftie Twitter community and Swiftie socials. And Emerald said, I really think us USA Swifties should get together to get the word out about how bad Project 2025 would be and make sure that we can help Kamala Harris kick butt and become the next president of the United States.
When Emerald Madrano tweeted this, it started a movement. It attracted Emerald's co-founder, Irene Kim, and quickly the pair had reserved social media and Substack handles.
So that night, they got sort of the beginning of everything together, posted a mission statement, sort of laying out, like, this is what Swifties for Kamala is. This is what we believe as a fan-led movement. They said, these are our values, and we're gonna get Kamala Harris elected. The overall values of the Swifties for Kamala movement are really rooted in inclusiveness, equality, safety for all, the freedom to make reproductive choices, the freedom to live the way that we want to, because there are so many queer Swifties, there are so many LGBTQ plus Swifties that are facing really terrifying legislation from Trump and his party of MAGA Republicans. There are really horrible atrocities happening across the world that are deeply upsetting to so many, but especially young voters. And I think the goals and issues that Swifties for Kamala are fighting for are just really rooted in the freedom to be who people are without facing persecution.
You talked about, when Emerald sent that initial tweet heard round the Swiftie community. So what is your journey then? When does April come in here?
My algorithm is such that it is a very strange mashup of like the Mets and Taylor Swift and CNN, Politico, some tennis thrown in there. I knew Irene. I saw what Irene was doing. I saw some other folks that I knew and what they were doing, and I was really excited. Taylor's about my age, so I've been a Swiftie since like way back when, and also a very political person, so it just felt really natural that it was two of the things that I love so much. I sent Irene a DM that was like, "Hey, I know that everyone is probably asking to help you right now, but I was a volunteer, I was a distributed organizer. I've done a lot of this phone banking stuff. I work in politics. I'm sure that you have tons of people offering to help you. But you and I know each other. Let me know if you need help." So I really loved the idea of getting non traditionally political people who shared a lot of the same interests as me. Like, let's get Swifties moving. And I just wanted to help do what others had done for me in politics and what the vice president talks about. There are going to be some people who leave the door open for you, and other people you're going to have to kick the door down. I wanted to open the door for so many Swifties who could really feel like their voices were being heard in politics, because a lot of them don't feel that. And so my way of sort of showing up and immediately integrating, immediately figuring out ways to get Swifties involved is figuring out, well, who wants to do what? Let's build an Act Blue page. Let's build a donation page for the campaign. You guys made great graphics. Let's put them up there so it's branded. People want to give to Swifties. Let's make the donations $13 or $19.89.
This is not April's day job. She and the other Swifties are making this work happen on top of their other responsibilities.
I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning because I have a 2-year-old who I need to get to daycare. Get my 2-year-old to daycare. By 9 o'clock, I'm lucky if I have my coffee and I'm at my desk. I'm doing my day job until I go pick up my toddler at 4. I come home. I'm a mom from 5 to 8, and then I would log on every night to meet with Swifties for Kamala. Our weekly meetings are 8:30 on Sunday nights because several of us are parents. We're all on different time zones, and that's when we can meet because we've all got lives and we've all got jobs, and this is just a labor of love. And so all of this grassroots organizing was really rapidly coming together. And so I showed up and I was sort of like, all right, well, what we need to do is, do we want to have a call?
After Kamala Harris launched her campaign, identity based groups started popping up and organizing calls to express support and raise money. Just hours after Harris announced she was running, the organization Win with Black Women gathered 40,000 people on Zoom and raised $1.6 million. Afterward, a group called White Dudes for Kamala held a call of their own, with guests like then VP prospect Tim Walz and celebrities Mark Hamill and Josh Gad. They attracted 193,000 attendees and raised $4.2 million for the Harris campaign. Inspired by these successes, Swifties for Kamala wanted to harness the power of their nearly 180,000 social media followers.
We always give credit to Joteka Edie and to Win with Black Women, who Oprah and the vice president both called out at the recent Unite in America event. And, we always give credit to the folks who were already there doing the organizing before the vice president even became the nominee.
One of the first steps was figuring out which guests they wanted on the call. What big names would draw in attendees and inspire Swifties specifically?
Well, Senator Markey sponsored legislation to break up Ticketmaster. Elizabeth Warren hates big corporate and has spoken up about Taylor Swift and her advocacy and the way that she's been taken advantage of by private equity before. So really just kind of showing up and helping Swifties for Kamala make the Venn diagram of Swifties for Kamala really clear, right? Where are the ways in which our Swiftiness overlaps and is represented and affected by the ways that the campaign is unfolding?
What is the purpose of a call like this? Talk a little bit about what your goals were going in.
I think very early on, I framed it as an organizing kickoff call because I think there was already a lot of organic enthusiasm and online engagement as far as I love to read the newsletter. I love following your socials. Your memes are so funny. I love retweeting you. I love sharing you to my story. The TikToks are insane, and the hype of Swifties organizing. So exciting. Um, but for an organizing call, a kickoff call, I always said that there were three goals: um, hype, engagement, and money. And for hype, it's that coalescing of community, right? It's that reinforcement of our values. It's that sharing the excitement of hearing people that we feel resonate with us. Engagement, I want you to engage a voter. I want you to get engaged yourself. I want you to make a call. And if you don't want to make a call, I want you to sign up for a text bank. And if you don't sign up for a text bank, I want you to text 3 friends and make sure that they have a plan to vote. I want you to sign up for this featured giveaway that we did with Fan Out. It's still happening. Or if you sign up at a link, it's a nonpartisan voter engagement group, and if you sign up at a link, you have a friend take an action to check their voter registration, and you get an entry into a giveaway for tickets to the Eras tour. And I want you to find your friends who aren't registered and register them. The last thing is money, of the 3 prongs of the call. And I was also really conscious about fundraising because I don't want to ask Swifties for a lot of money, because Swifties are younger, a lot of working class Swifties. So I'm not going to ask Swifties for $1,000, $50. I'm not going to ask them for that. What I cared more about was, how many individual donations can we get? How many $1.30? How many $19.89? How many $22 donations can we get to show that it's not going to be big dollars, but look at how many of us there are. Look at how many of us there are saying, I want to throw in a few bucks to make this happen.
The call took place on Tuesday, August 27th. About 30,000 people signed up ahead of time. It was also live streamed on TikTok and posted on YouTube.
When we had people sign up for the call, we could see where people were signing up from. There are a ton of Swifties in Pennsylvania. There are a ton of Swifties in North Carolina. There are a ton of Swifties in Wisconsin. Like, this is real. These are voters. They're not just Swifties. We're not 13-year-old girls. We're 36-year-old women. We're 45-year-old men. We're 27-year-old, anybody. There's so many of us, and we can really do something.
There were also some special guests who made an appearance.
We had Senators Warren, Gillibrand, and Markey. We had Representatives Becca Ballant from Vermont and Chris DeLuzio, who represents the swing district in Pennsylvania, all certified Swifties. And we had Anderson Clayton from the North Carolina Democratic Party, who I think is both an incredible role model for young voters and young people taking politics seriously in swing states, and also a massive Swiftie. So I think that variety of political folks who kind of overlap with Taylor, and then sort of the pop culture world of Taylor and young politically engaged folks.
It's so exciting and energizing to hear you talk about all this. Can you break down maybe your favorite or most memorable moment from the call?
Wow.
Just to get a little window into some of the
Yeah, I
cool
think,
stuff that went
for me,
down.
I think there were 2 really big moments for me personally on the call. And the first was, I think I mentioned earlier, I don't come from a traditional politics background. I went to college for theater. I've waited tables. I've worked in restaurants. I have a very windy road. to
Mhm.
politics. And one of the people who's such a huge reason why I work in politics and that really moved me to take action is Elizabeth Warren,
Mhm.
Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. And, you know, I had met her a lot at volunteer opportunities during her primary campaign, but I got to introduce her on the call. You know, we had written in, introductions to introduce folks to Swifties who were going to be speaking on the call, to say, like, this is why they're here and this is who they are to this movement and why they're speaking. And for me, I sort of claimed it, if we get Senator Warren, I would like to introduce her. It'd be really meaningful to me. And it's that crossover of, like, this huge belief that I have in Senator Warren and her political, the things that Senator Warren has fought for have always been very personal to me. And so introducing her on this huge call for the movement, but also, very frankly, what felt like a massive personal accomplishment of, like, we put this together and I was a part of it. I I am helping get these people here. I'm not taking an unhealthy amount of pride in it, but I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm so proud to be a part of it, and it's so surreal that part of it can be introducing this senator who really fights for everyday people. As a parent, her policies on making it easier to raise a family are so important to me. So getting to introduce her and welcome her to a community that I also feel so much love and pride at being a part in, it felt like such a phenomenal personal crossover of my interests. And then the other one I would say is probably Carol King, because we got Carol King because she followed us on social media, and our social team kept asking, can we just DM all of our celebrity followers? And I was like, that's not super how it's done. Like, usually there are, like, publicists involved and an email that you have to send to a management. It's very different than sort of emailing a congressional office. I don't imagine that anyone would reply to us, but you know what? Go for it. Worst they can say is no or leave us on red. And then Carol King's account replied to us and said, I'm actually, I run this account for Carol, but let me ask her. She loves what you guys are doing. And then she got back to us, and I remember the Discord was, like, exploding. They were like, she said yes. She said yes. What do we do? And there was Carol King talking about how important it is to vote, talking about how, she loves Taylor and how she was so excited by Swifties organizing. And then she sang Shake It Off. Watching Carol King sing Shake It Off and our interpreters side by side signing Shake It Off, which is really fun. I was very lucky to be able to do that and really devote the time to this call. And when it ended, it was just sort of this wild feeling of, like, accomplishment and disbelief, sort of surreal and like an out of body moment. And then Pop Bass tweeted about us, and I got quoted in Vanity Fair, and later that week I was on CNN and NBC. And you know, if you had told me any amount of time ago that one day I would be on CNN talking about Taylor Swift and politics, I would have both been very excited and very confused.
April and her fellow volunteers may have found a political community via Taylor Swift, but the pop star herself hasn't always made her political opinions public. The 2018 election was really the first time she directly endorsed a political candidate when she came out in support of Tennessee Democratic candidates Phil Bredesen and Jim Cooper. In 2020, she endorsed Joe Biden for president. But up until September, she hadn't endorsed a candidate in this year's presidential election. So fans were speculating about whether or not she would endorse Kamala Harris. Then, on September 10th, she did. Do you remember that moment when you first heard that Taylor Swift had endorsed Kamala Harris? Where were you and what went through your head when you saw that happen?
So it was right after the debate, and we have a Discord for Swifties for Kamala, and it's sort of like our open chat platform for all of the volunteers and like the Swifties who really want to build community. And so we had a live watch party in the Discord. We were watching the vice president just very frankly kick ass left, right, and center as she was answering all the questions really well. We were so hype. We were just so excited, and we're responding and talking to each other and like just getting excited. And I remember all caps a message popped in on one of the channels, and it just said Taylor endorsement. It just really felt like that moment in an office where like everything is going like all the printers are just like the moment in The Office where Michael Scott says, "Oh my god, it's happening." Like that's what it felt like online at the moment. We were definitely organizing separate from her endorsement. That is not why we got together to do Swifties for Kamala. And I think even if she hadn't spoken up about this, I think she really inspired a lot of people to pay more attention, to get more involved, to read more up about who, she said specifically, make sure that you're voting for the people who truly represent you. And so my immediate thought was, wow, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how many people are going to register now. I can't wait to see how many people are going to join us now. I can't wait to see how many people are going to take this moment and this sort of encouragement from someone that they really highly regard. And then how can we be there when they say, okay, well, I want to take action. Like, where do I go? How can we be like, you're a Swiftie. We're here. We're Swifties. We're here for Kamala. We've got a phone bank. We've got a text bank. We've got a Discord. We've got some bracelet programs. We've got a donation page.
Taylor's Instagram post endorsing Harris received 2.3 million likes within 30 minutes. It caused a spike in voter registration among young Americans. Vote.org reported a whopping 1,226% jump in participation in the hour after the post. Even Donald Trump's negative response fueled positive momentum for Swifties for Kamala.
The former president posted on his social media, all caps, "I hate Taylor Swift," on a Sunday morning, shortly after I woke up with my toddler, and the chats started going wild. And we all said, what can we do? What do we do? We got to do something. And I said, whatever we do, drop the donate link. And people are going to tag us all day. Of course they did. I just said, again, I'm not asking people to raise a bunch of money. I just want to show how many people will say to you saying that you hate Taylor Swift, you know what, you actually made me want to just go give $5 more to Kamala Harris. And in that one day alone, we raised over $40,000 more.
Swifties for Kamala isn't just finding success because Taylor Swift is one of the most popular women on the planet. April thinks it's a testament to the excitement everyone's feeling during this political moment, regardless of musical preferences.
It feels like the first election in a really long time we've had something to be excited for instead of to vote against. And so I think all of these affinity groups, all of these like celebrity endorsements and surrogate appearances, I think it's just sort of a reinforcement that says like we are all together. It's a really big tent. So these celebrities, these pop culture things that we love, these identity mark realtors for Kamala, you know, scientists for Kamala, people who speak a shared language and can share their values together. I think that's the best kind of organizing. The haters want to say that joy is not a strategy, but bringing joy to organizing is important. because a lot of people burn out. A lot of people start to feel like, what am I doing this for? And I always say the best way to make friends as an adult is to volunteer for something, because it will be other people who share the same values as you, who are looking to build community, who are taking initiative, and usually are approaching things with a fairly open mind and heart. Sometimes people who don't identify themselves as political at all are going to be the ones who show up and change an election. It's so important to get involved now because, as close as this presidential race was, your state assembly race, your city council race, those are going to be decided by hundreds of votes, maybe dozens of votes, maybe one vote. And if you show up and you make your voice heard, if you do it every time, that's how we make change. So I always like to say, especially with volunteering, with donations, you don't need to do everything. You don't need to give $100. That every drop in the bucket fills the bucket up. That we don't get a full bucket without every little drop. And in that bucket is the way that the campaign funds everything.
What advice would you give to people who might be wanting to start political outreach organizations of their own, whether that is associated with a fandom or otherwise?
If you feel moved to organize, to start an organization, you know, 2 people can be an organization. 3 people can be an organization. You do not have to have an executive board and 34,000 RSVPs or viewers to do it. You talk to somebody, you share your values, you work together, and then you invite more people in. You invite more people in and you make plans. You learn more about how you can impact things. You look for ways that your skills overlap and can be contributed to the work. And you work together because nobody can do it alone.
There's so much at stake in this election, from access to reproductive care and LGBTQ rights to healthcare, gun control, and more. Support and even fundraise for the candidates and organizations who are working to preserve our democracy and build a better future with Act Blue. Learn more at actblue.com/buildthechange.
Build the Change is created in partnership with Act Blue and produced by Wonder Media Network. Our production team includes Edie Allard, Sarah Schleed, and Madeline Gore. Our editors are Jenny Kaplan and Lindsay Cradowell. Our executive producer is Jenny Kaplan. Our showrunners are Rohita Javangula, Lydia Bayer, and Kara Zarkatis.